Welcome to New Game Plus. This is a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name's Kenny.
Nolan.
And this is episode 294. And the live action Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is scheduled to be released next year. And just this week, it has been announced that actor Idris Elba will be providing the voice acting for Knuckles the Echidna. I
actually knew this news. No, lately I've been off the
rocker.
This is interesting. I didn't think he would do something like that. I love Idris Elba though, and yeah, I still haven't seen the first one.
Oh, I didn't either. Wife and I wanted to see it in theaters, and wasn't it still
COVID.
like COVID was still like very COVID-y?
It had just started like stay-at-home stuff, and so everyone was like, "Ooh." I think there was a run where it was like safe to go see it, but even then, COVID was around. We just didn't know about it.
Right. Well, Kenny, you don't believe in COVID, so like you're gonna go see the movie anyways.
You're a denier.
I don't believe in movie theaters.
Ooh,
I think
nice.
it's a myth.
Okay. So
do you mean
that I don't believe in movie theaters?
Yeah.
What? No. Of course I believe in movie theaters.
You believe they exist?
I go, not during pandemics.
Scared.
Okay, so you might recognize Idris from Heimdall in the Marvel movies. He was the like guardian of the gate to and Thor.
He was sick. I like that character.
Is it Idris? I feel like you're saying it wrong.
He's not. What do you say?
What would it be?
Idris?
I don't. Yeah, that's
Idris?
closer.
No, I know it's an I there. It's Idris Elba.
It's Idris for sure. Idris Elba.
I think I say Idris. No, Idris. I don't say Idris. I don't know.
We'll ask him. Idris, come on in.
What if you walked into your camera?
I'm not going to spend the whole episode just giving Dustin a hard time for words.
Well, I was about to introduce the movies that he was in. Heimdall in the Marvel movies, Bloodsport from the recent Suicide Squad.
Yep.
What?
See it.
Or even McCavity in Cats.
Oh, wow.
Didn't see it.
I forgot that happened.
Yeah.
He's been in everything. He was in The Office.
Yeah, he was.
Oh,
he guest starred The
have
Office.
that small role.
I loved that role. He was so funny. He hated everybody.
That is really funny. Anyways, I think he'll do great with Knuckles. We don't know yet who is going to voice Tails, which was teased at the end of the Sonic movie that none of us have watched.
They could get the voice actor from the game that you love so much.
I feel like Tails has to be a mega annoying person to do that voice. I love Tails.
I feel like you need a girl voice actor to do.
Yeah, I do too, kind of. So Tails wasn't in the first one? That's kind of a letdown.
Tails was not in the first one. I believe he was like a post-end credit, or like he was like a mid-credit or post-credit reveal.
I need to watch it.
Like that.
I should. It's a video game movie. I should totally watch it.
We definitely need to watch it. We're bad.
Watch party? NGP watch party?
Ooh. Okay, so we don't know who's going to voice Tails. We also don't know who is going to voice Big the Cat. So that is...
Are auditions still open?
Yeah, Kenny, I think you would do great. That's why I brought this topic today.
I'm glad you did. Do you know a guy? Because if you could give me an audition, I would do that part, and I would nail it.
Can you give us a Big the Cat right now? Like, I know it's your normal voice.
I don't know anything about Big the Cat, actually, but I know you guys think I can do it, and I know I have a great voice.
Oh, yeah?
A little bit of acting chops. And so, yeah, bring it on, Sonic team. Hire me.
All right, I'll reach out to the guys, to Idris or Idris. First, you've got to know your co-worker's name, your co-star's name. You know, if Big the Cat was in the movie, that people would line up for blocks to see that movie. Absolute blocks. Yes, don't shake your head no. You don't think, was that a swish or was it a brick?
I was just going to use that one on you. Be like, you took a shot, but it was a total brick.
It was a total brick.
You took it already.
Whatever. We got to get it. Nolan's thinking hard over there. Yeah. How can I be a part of this? All right, guys, time for the episode. Let go. Like in our retro game of the week, Lego Island.
Overview.
Lego Island is a Lego-themed action-adventure game that was developed and published by Mindscape in 1997 for the Windows PC, or whatever was running on PC during that time. Because, as we've discussed many times before, playing video games on the PC today that came out in the early to mid 90s is absolute hell.
Kenny, why is this? I feel like there's a right answer. I mean, OS changes and gets better, but why can't you just load up old stuff?
Hardware changes too. The bigger issue is like fundamental expectations about like processes that are running, and I don't know like the details of the technical kinds of stuff, but literally like incompatibilities at the hardware level are certainly tougher than ones that are just, like software on interaction.
Sucks.
No one cares though.
Nope.
It's not ideal, and it makes it difficult when we get to play older PC titles because they are so much harder than any other game. We could play 37 Atari 2600 games easier than we could play one 90s PC game.
We could play arcade games, no problem. Like
which is unfortunate because I think that's my favorite era and like genre of game.
Yeah.
So I get hyped when we go like mid 90s PC because that's where I was.
I love this era.
And it was so diverse and so many different titles, and so I hate that there are as many hurdles as there are.
And even with DOSBox, it's problematic. And so I know there's going to be, maybe it's even someone from our community now that God is gifting with the foresight, the vision, and the ability to produce something. There's got to be a way where someone can produce an emulator that works for, and I know it. Right? Here's the problem, that like 90s PC games operated on different systems that 95, and then 95 was different from 2000, but there's got to be a way to create an emulator that works for these things. And I didn't mean to take this much time here. I just know that we're going to talk about it throughout this episode because it's not the easiest to emulate these games today.
No, it's not.
Even games that I owned as a kid, like Lego Island. My brother and I had the box, and inside the box was the manual as well as the Pearl case. That's what they're called, right? CD case of the game Lego Island. And so we played this on our home computer. It was the first licensed Lego video game, although I think there was some kind of like Lego video game that preceded this, but it wasn't like a fully this was the first fully licensed one. And it's for ages 6 through 12. So when I played it, it was probably around there. When we played it this time, we were a little outside of that range.
A little bit. I'm 13, so I was close.
So
some of us more than others.
Right.
I've never played a Lego. What? I never played this Lego game. Last week, I thought I had because I got hyped with you, Dustin. It was not this game. It was Lego Island Creators Knights Realm or something like that. Knights Kingdom, and it was more of just like a build. You just built stuff. So I think Lego was smart to get into video games around this time.
Well, they didn't stop.
No.
And it's been very successful since.
Yep.
There are so many Lego video games that are available today, and they're coming out with so many more. They're doing, like Marvel themed and Batman themed and Harry Potter themed and everything themed.
Smart.
Star Wars
themed. Those are
one of
good.
The first ones that was super.
That was
popular.
a big one. Yeah.
So, Kenny, have you played other Lego video games?
Yeah.
Oh.
Recently dabbled in Star Wars, in the Lego Harry Potter games.
Okay.
You did?
Yeah, they didn't hook me, but played a little bit of them on Switch. And back in the day, Xbox 360 era, played some Lego Star Wars, a decent amount.
We did Racer on the show.
Oh yeah, we did Lego Racer on the show.
Yeah.
So now, Kenny, you didn't have experience prior to this week with Lego Island, correct?
No, I did not.
Nolan, and you said the same, right, Nolan?
Correct.
Okay. And like I said, I did. And that's my Lego Island history. My Lego history is that Legos are awesome.
Amazing.
And I played with them as a kid. But here's the thing. I would imagine if Kenny played with them too, he falls into my category that we played here's a set of Legos, put this thing together. It was more like, here's 300 Legos and be creative and build your own things.
Both.
Now, I know there were sets, of course, but I think nowadays it's hard to, like, the sets are what is most prevalent and available.
Yeah, like
not
models.
The individual blocks.
They took the place of model airplanes, you know, like that genre where you used to put together little pieces of like plastic to make a cool like X-Wing fighter. No, just get Legos and it's even cooler. I always remember instructions, build this thing, but I had this bin that was massive, that had every Lego in it. Like I had all of them. And so once you get a collection, you just start building whatever you want. And such fond memories. I would still be into it today. I really would. Adults are into Legos, but they're expensive, guys. I looked at price tags of some of those. Oh my gosh, those models get insanely expensive.
Yeah. And then Kenny, Legos had to be out when you were a kid. I know we joke. I know that was a long time ago.
Did they have plastic?
Did they have blocks back when you were a child?
I only played with Lincoln Logs growing up.
Right.
I had those too, bro.
But ones I made myself. Like we whittled them
twigs
in the woods. No, of course I love Lego.
Okay. And played with them. And you said both sets and individual,
absolutely
your own creativity.
Yes, and mashups of each. I think you know how you have really weird, distinct memories of like slices of life in childhood that you don't know why they're important to you, but they are. That you don't remember other stuff that may have happened around the same time. I remember reworking a set of like Legos from the original, like here's what you ought to build, to this other thing, and it being so much cooler, like objectively, than the actual set that was provided, that I went around and showed it to everybody, and it's probably still one of my proudest achievements.
And they're like, "Yeah, cool. This is so
Get
much
away,
better
nerd.
than the original."
All right, listen. With Lego Island, there's not much of a story here, and it's difficult to really talk about story-wise because I said it was an action-adventure game, I guess, but also kind of an open-world sandbox. But
yeah, sure,
kind of,
sure.
So like it's there is not a story, and then there is one story that you can do if you're playing with the right character and doing the right thing.
For someone that's not familiar, will you allow me to metaphor so that someone understands what this game is?
That's risky.
It's not
metaphor.
Actually gonna be a metaphor.
Nope. It's either got to be a metaphor, a simile, or an allegory, or an analogy.
It'll be one of the above.
Okay.
Lego Island is GTA for kids.
Is that a simile?
I'll allow it.
Yeah. GTA for kids?
Yeah, you can shoot people with water guns.
Here's what I said last week, and I feel it still here after playing it this week, and then don't at the same time. But there are some relationship with like Sims here. I brought it up. I said it last week when Lego Island came up, and just that like you can kind of do what you want within reason. Like you're going around. There's not necessarily a goal or a task. For the most part, we'll talk about it more in gameplay. There's not much to talk about, so let's save it. But you can kind of do your own thing, live your own life. This time it's on an island. Like, I'm sure there's a Sims island, right? But I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to ask Shauna. But in Lego Island, there is one story. If you are playing as the skateboarding pizza delivery boy known as Pepperoni, it's first and last name.
I hate him so much.
He's great. Then you can deliver a pizza to the jail, who you're supposed to be delivering it to, I think, one of the police officers, but instead you give it to the one brickster, I think, the brickster, who is in prison, and he uses the heat from that pizza to melt the bars on his jail cell and then escapes. And you have to work with the rest of town to be able to recapture the brickster. That's the story, if there is one, for the game Lego Island.
Gameplay.
You would expect a Lego video game to be mostly building with bricks. or at least I would. And this being the first licensed one, I think it's interesting that your gameplay is more so, it has building in it, of course, but they adapted their brand to what video games were doing at the time, which it kind of feels like, in terms of controlling characters, going on quote-unquote missions. And in many ways, when I booted up this game, and it takes you through like the whole like intro, you have like the guide, and he's explaining to you how to play the game. It really took me back to that era of like 97 games, but not in the adventure category. More so, I was getting edutainment vibes.
For sure.
Because a lot of point and clicking at first until it lets you loose, and then you feel, oh, this is very familiar. I'm controlling a character and I'm going through a world.
I don't know if I buy your underlying premise, Nolan. Certainly,
I'm not selling it.
Of Legos. No, certainly a big part of Legos was building stuff. But once you built stuff, then you had toys and you played with them.
Yeah.
And that's what this game was trying to be. I think it was a pretty good translation of the Lego experience. Like if you gave kids a Lego Island set and set it down in front of them, the stuff that they would do is the stuff this game lets you do.
Yeah.
Sure, you'd build some things, and sure, you'd rework a bunch of buildings and change the scenery and change out all the characters to look how you want, but you'd also take the race cars that you built and race them around the island, and you'd play with it. And that's the vibe here, is that it's some Legos in this Lego space, and you can do Lego-y stuff with them. So I think it was a pretty good transition.
It feels very Lego-y, like
very.
And there is building. There are building components to each of the things that you can do, and then even one of the things that, I mean, the character of this game and the vibe of this game is where it's very Lego-y, and where there's actually any game, I feel like. It's that kind of experience, because you can even click on a lot of the characters that you're talking to, or even just passing by, and their hats will change, or whatever's on their head will change, as if you had revolving, like Lego pieces, like you would do, right, at home. Like you just change whatever's on their head just for fun, or to be silly. You in this game have 5 playable characters. The only distinct and interesting one is the one that I mentioned, Pepperoni.
Yep.
What, Kenny?
They're all distinct, and they're all relatively interesting.
They're of course not distinct. You've got 2 police officers. You've got 2. Mom and Pop. Who are the other 2?
Mama, Papa, Briccolini.
It's the pizza builders, and then you've got Little Pepper. So like Mom and Pop are fairly interchangeable. The 2 police officers are fairly interchangeable, and then you've got the one unique one. That's what I'm saying.
He also is part of the family and works for the pizza shop. Like he's not that much unique. Laura Brick's character was maybe more unique. I don't know. I didn't like Pepperoni. He was annoying, and each one of these characters, when you get to meet them, they have this little intro sequence that pops down, and there's a video about them. And Pepperoni skateboarding and talking about all the angles he has was the cringiest thing.
Kenny,
no, it was
it's
so
97.
Awful.
It's
I know, but it was
the
bad
best.
even for 97.
He was saying stuff, Dustin, in the first play. He was saying stuff like he was doing math calculations about his angles and his tricks. He's like,
yeah, but wrong. Like, there is so much like charm here. I think you'll either be really annoyed by it and it's not your humor, or you'll think it's cute and quirky.
There
were
moments that I was hilarious and I thought it was so funny, and then there were moments that he was angling his way through his skateboard vectors, and it was real annoying.
I'm not just talking about him. I'm talking about the Lego humor. When someone's talking to you, like they'll pull their leg off, right, and like just twirl it around, or
their head will
spin off and then come back down. And the puns. There's tons of Lego related puns from all of the characters, and they're voice acted. Again, we'll talk more about that later. But like you're in this living, active, creative world. I like how you brought up, Kenny, because you are building some, but it is this post-building, now you're playing in the world that you created kind of environment. I keep doing that because it's like the ascended. It's the ascended thing. Like, you built the Legos and now you get to play in the world of Lego Island that you quote unquote created.
Yes.
So I thought it was interesting there.
And speaking to the like adventure side of this, or we said open world, I do think that the gameplay here in 97 feels familiar. I said that earlier. I feel like it, when they put you in control, let's say, of Pepper, and you start skating around and exploring this world, sure, GTA, Kenny, I'll give it to you. Like, you're seeing all of these, it's riddled with the Lego theme. And so as you're going down the street, every 5 seconds, you're like, hey, that's funny, because it's either like something that you recognize, like from a set, or one of the characters is doing something interesting. And so I actually really liked exploring the island. It felt like an island, and I was worried that it would feel more like stages going into it, like here's a level 1, level 2, but they just kind of set you loose, and I really, really enjoy that.
Yeah, but it takes about 30 seconds to get from one end of the island to the other.
That's fine. It's 97. I think yes, but I think it's full of enough things in there that I wasn't bored in 30 seconds.
I don't know. As a kid, I felt like there was endless opportunities and it really was open world.
Yeah.
But here today, I'm like, well, did everything there was to do in that game, like fairly quickly. There are 6 playable areas. You've got the pizza delivery area. You've got the race car racing area, the tow truck driving, the ambulance, the jet ski, and then the helicopter. And in each of those, you're relatively doing the same thing. You're building something, whether it's a race car or the helicopter or the tow truck, and then you're driving each of those. In the jet ski and the race car, it's a race. In the ambulance and the tow truck driving, it's kind of the same thing. You're going to a location, picking up people, watching a little cut scene. They've got cut scenes, and then moving it else. The helicopter was cool. There wasn't much to do up there, but you could ascend and fly over the island and look down on it.
That one felt like in-game content. Like in GTA, when you get a helicopter access or something. That one felt
not
just like
GTA.
That one just felt like, oh, I have the helicopter now. I can see everything. But I actually like the racing one, kind of.
Yeah. It was all right.
Pizza delivery is what I've always enjoyed most, but they're all, If
it's not GTA for kids, why is there Lego radio?
You can't change the radio station,
and they don't swear.
Can you? And
they don't swear. It's for kids.
If you put in the right cheat code, it's just full of swears. It's the same GTA music. It's the library that's brought over. None of that's true. In the building portion of each of those, you're building brick by brick, but you don't get any autonomy in there.
Exactly what I was about to say.
It gives you the exact brick. It tells you exactly where to place it. You get to change the color or maybe the sticker, but that's it.
So, lore friendly, in that you're following instructions like you would in real life. But I'm with you. Like, let me build something that makes no sense. I mean, like you won't be able to use it. Like, you have to use a helicopter, so you must build that correctly in the right way. But it did feel kind of just like, here you go, and the building novelty was removed, and I was just like, just give me the freaking helicopter.
No novelty there.
Yeah,
it would have been a totally different type of game for them to try and build, where you could just like open world build the Legos and build anything you wanted. So I think that's a little bit of an unrealistic ask, a completely different game. I do think they could have given you like different components you could have chosen to use and like behave differently in the world. Use the longer helicopter blades so that your helicopter turns more smoothly, but it's more stable. Use the shorter ones and you go real fast, but you might fall out of the sky. Like, you could find some way of giving yourself, maybe not. You
might plummet out of the sky and die.
You might die. I'm just saying they could have found an in-between where you did have some choices to make that actually showed up in the gameplay, and that would have added a little bit of depth and replayability, which you're right, Dustin, this game lacks.
I don't think that it needed to even have like stats or what you're saying. I don't think it even needs a real world. I don't even think it needs a Lego Island explanation or outcome. I just think aesthetically, like if you could have chosen out of 3 or 4 different helicopter blades, just that gives a little bit of autonomy, and it makes you feel like, okay, it's got to be placed in the same place, but at least I can make this look really cool or how I want to. But there's really not how I want to. It's really exactly how you want it to, maybe with a little bit of a different color palette.
And there should be. Earlier I said I'd expect some building here, and there's not much, and they had to adapt it. Again, they had to, like, how can we make Legos a video game? And in this case, it's not building.
Remember too, though, they do have this edutainment angle that is very much intentional. Like, they're trying to make this an enriching experience for kids, and that it's for kids. You get too advanced here, and you're not going to be able to plop a 6-year-old down in front of a mouse. In 1997 especially, where some of these games are almost learn to use a computer as much as they are play this thing, and expect them to be able to do much more than, select a brick and rotate it and tell it be part of this thing.
Well, when you have controls like there are in this game, adults can't play it. Like, I don't know.
And that's okay.
So we played the game this week on our Windows whatever, but like the controls in this game, were they that bad on the original?
Yeah, I mean, the controls are the controls are the controls. You have, you have the mouse, which you can click on. I mean, you're using the mouse to click on clickables, but also you can use it for movement by holding down left mouse and up towards the top of the screen or back. But you can also use, I don't know if you ever caught the arrow keys.
I did.
But those are the only things. There's no WASD. That I don't know if they were there yet. When does StarCraft start?
That's not WASD, but lots of early shooters did have a setup like that.
I was just curious as to when StarCraft started. You didn't have to get snarky, I think. So, yeah.
Either way, it's bad.
It is bad, and the handling is bad, especially today because it's tethered to frame rate, and so like our up and down, you're going to be moving relatively fine speeds, but when you try to turn left or right, you're going to be boom, 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 so quick.
Fast, boy.
It's not the best. And then in my first play, for some reason, my mouse wasn't fully like calibrated on the screen, so I had to click like an inch below anywhere I was trying to.
I don't know what happened there.
I know that eventually fixed itself, but
I had that same problem.
Interesting.
The whole time I played, of the mouse being off center.
Yeah. It does make it easy for kids because it's the only button in the game. You can use your mouse and your mouse only, but it doesn't make it enjoyable. No. Did you feel that there was enough to do? There not being much of a story outside of that one kind of thing, and then other than that being somewhat open world where you can go across the island, go to one of these locations, build something, and try it out. Did you feel like there was enough content?
Initially, yes. They do a really good job of sort of like making it seem like there's going to be a lot of content. The island isn't huge, but there's a number of places to go. And I kind of thought, oh man, all these different characters, each visiting all these different places, are going to have some kind of unique interaction. And then we're going to have like different, quests that we got to do for each of them, and different reasons to explore the island with every single character. And like, there's potential that there could have been lots and lots here. And that I was going to have some autonomy, like let's go in and build different things and try this race car versus that race car. But once you kind of get past the surface and you realize that there's not that it's lots of this sort of fake autonomy where pretty much you're doing the same thing with all of the different characters, and pretty much all of your mini games are kind of the same, like build a thing, drive a thing. It's not nearly as diverse as it could be, and it's got to compete with my imagination if this was a real life Lego set. Which is really, really diverse. Come on.
Is it though? Nolan, enough content in your mind?
Enough. Yeah, not a lot. But I thought, yes, most of the mini games or the different things that you're like the racing and the jet ski one's kind of different. I like that one. But yeah, I think there's enough variety to keep you interested and engaged in this game. Yeah.
And I agree with you, Kenny. I think it sets up where it's like, hey, there might be a lot here, especially with the 5 characters. If there were different interactables for each location,
or plots,
different
like storylines.
Or if there was even just one storyline for each of them, like there was with Pepper, yeah, that's enough. It's still not tons, but that's enough, man, for a game like this. Yeah. But I feel like it fell short, especially considering that the 6 playable areas are about the same thing for each one of what you're doing.
It kind of teased some stuff, you know, if you had Brickster for Pepper, but then you had some kind of pirate adventure where you discovered that cave for one of the other characters, and then you like there was enough that if they'd chosen to do a lot more. Again, I know 97, I know hardware limitations, all this stuff, but there could have been a lot more. And again, I think some of that is symptomatic of them making a kids game, but some of that is just they didn't take it nearly as far as they probably could have.
Aged.
We already talked about it some, but the technical issues with playing an old game are certainly at the top of this how well has this game aged list of conversations.
Yeah.
Because it's not as hard as some games have been. People have actually cared enough about this game to do some work, to release some patches, to make sure that it is still playable, which is not always the case at all. But if you want to play it and want to play it without bugs, you're going to be spending a lot of work diving into kind of what makes it work on your system and all the different things that people have suggested.
Yeah, we talked about it up front, but it's just frustrating to me, and there's got to be a workaround. Like, come on, the way that they've been able to emulate Wii and like the Dolphin emulator is so advanced for those consoles, and I get it. Console is easier because the console is the console.
Doesn't change, yeah.
Everyone has the console, and it's the exact same. So I get that PCs vary, and PCs even vary from year to year. But come on, there's got to be a way to mimic those easier than it is, because man, oh man, it is so frustrating.
I feel like the answer is virtual machines. Like you have to do a virtual machine of a Windows 95 desktop and then run it, which that's hard. Like that's not, I'm not saying that's easy. That's also annoying and hard to set up. So yeah, I get hype whenever we pull a PC, a 90s PC game. I love that era. I'm with Kenny. It wasn't like my defining gaming experience like it was for him, but I'm always like, man, I wish this ran smoother, or I wish I could play the full game without problems. It was just, there were problems in this game, like JPEGs were just loading incorrectly, and like, I don't know. It was a bad experience.
You can see in my first play, like even after like I've delivered a pizza, still in the bottom left corner, there's like a JPEG of half a hand holding a pizza. Or anytime I'm on like a bike or something, the bottom half of the screen doesn't render pixels properly. Yeah, it's difficult. But I'll say that being on PC and then being as aesthetic being as like a unique vibe as Lego is, the graphics hold up. Like when you're not having to do anything super novel and you can just put creative Legos on a screen, and the island is somewhat, minimized. I think they were able to do what they needed to do.
It fits the idea of Lego and sort of sandbox buildy kind of thing. There's a reason that though Minecraft is super popular today, it still looks crazy dated, and that's because there's something about this simplicity that fits the style.
Yeah.
And that's easy. And so graphically you're certainly not getting like the highest fidelity graphics or anything. It's not like it's beautiful, but it doesn't need to be for the kind of game that it is and the setting that you're in.
It's very Lego.
I think the graphics work.
Yeah. It's nice to see familiar things from Legos in it. And that I think is vital if you're going to make any franchise, movie, anything into a game. That's always our frustration. And here, it's Lego to the core.
Well, they had the trees that are the Lego trees that you can have. They had the Lego sharks that I had.
I got so nostalgic when I saw that Lego shark.
Yeah,
like that was the piece that brought me back to childhood. I loved it.
And they're not even hiding them. They're like the sharks lined the street at one point that I was trying to pass. Like they're quirky, they're silly, they're all over the place. But that goes back to like, if I'm playing Legos, the sharks aren't staying in the water. The sharks are coming to the streets. Like
they're gonna be in a car.
They're gonna be driving a car. But yeah, so all the Lego pieces that you're seeing, you could probably own and actually play with physically, which was you've got to do that. That's super cool.
Like it makes you want to go get real Legos. Like this week, I was like, man, I wish I still had mine. And my mom still does. I need to take them to my house.
Which I didn't. I failed to. In fact, all three of us failed to mention last week. But with the game that we played last week, that I can't even recall right now, that we didn't give New Game Plus status, that we thought wasn't good enough. Final Fantasy X was 2 weeks ago. Last week was Pigs in Space. Everybody, not everybody, but many of our Discord community members changed their name and image to a Muppet. Yes. This week, many of them changed it to a Lego, and I thought that was interesting.
Like, minifigs?
It's cute.
Yeah, one of the as their image, and even adapted their names. So
people did that on TikTok.
What about TikTok?
People did that on TikTok with their profile pics for a bit for the Lego Star Wars characters. Like, it's a beloved series. People absolutely love Lego games.
Still today. Yeah. Still today. Lego games, Lego models, everything. The music.
Yeah.
I noted it in the first play because there are some like boom. I mean, it's CD music, and so you can have higher fidelity than you can have on consoles at this time, on many of them. But the clips are so short, and for me, I don't know if it was an emulation thing, but some of the tracks were low and quiet, and some of them were making my ears bleed. Same. I don't understand.
That was probably a bug. Yeah, same. But what you did get was really good. I love the jazz.
It's fun.
The jazz tracks. Yeah. I think it's so good.
There was definitely some bopping tracks. A little bit of repetitious there, but it fits again that sort of Lego tone to me. Something about the music they chose. I felt like they chose well for what they were doing.
That's the thing. They could choose because unlike a show or a movie, you don't have a theme that must make it into your Lego game. It's silent when you're playing with Lego. So like they could choose. I love that they chose heavy bass jazz. Like that's so good.
And some like original kind of stuff too. There's that one number where they're like singing about Legos and bricks. I don't remember exactly when it happens, but they put some stuff in that was like made for this game and that fit, and I dug it.
You can tell that this isn't just a mail-in thing, right? Like a lot of licensed game are mail-in. Pigs in Space, right? E.T. It's just mail-in. These were people that loved Legos, wanted to create a Lego vibe, and wanted to do it for kids, and did well with many of those things. But I'm circling back to what we started the episode with and what we started even this section with. Playing today is so difficult. I actually looked up the system requirements for the game.
Hear it. Yeah.
All right.
Let's see if my machine can handle it.
Windows 95.
I can't.
A 120 megahertz Pentium 1 processor.
Megahertz.
16 megabytes of RAM. At least 20 megabytes of storage space available. Do you have 20 megs of storage available?
I'm actually scared at how fast technology advances.
Do you understand how small 20 megs is?
Yeah, and do you understand that we can get terabytes? Like, what?
And the biggest problem is that you needed to run around 10 frames per second for things to go at normal speed. Right. And so that's what's probably most problematic today is trying to slow your computer down. Like for us to be able to play, we had to go to what's that thing where you have to go into settings on the
graphics card.
You had to play it like in compatibility mode.
In compatibility mode, that's what I was looking for. And then I had to change some settings and stuff to get it to play somewhat normally. But there were still issues today. But maybe you're not going to have those issues with Lego Island 2, The Brickster's Revenge, which came out in 2001, and then even Island Extreme Stunts, which was the third game in the series that came out in 2002. Yeah. So it was successful. This game sold how many? Almost 1 million copies. I don't remember.
It's that
but
Lego
like
brand, man. People love Lego.
Yeah, but this was. I mean. Yeah, it sold over 909,000 copies between 97 and 99, making it the 15th best-selling computer game of that period.
Dang.
In the United States.
Wow.
Popular game.
So yeah, something successful about it. And then, as you know, today there are dozens and dozens of Lego themed games. In part, I would imagine, because of the success of Lego Island. You can buy a CD copy for $10 used or $46 new. And I'll sell you mine for $5. So if you want an extra deal, then just reach out to me.
Does it come with the box and the booklet?
I don't know if I've got all that anymore, but I think I've still got the pearl case and the CD.
Final thoughts.
At the end of each and every one of our episodes, we determine whether or not the game gets our vote for New Game Plus status, which is our general thumbs up or thumbs down. It does require 2/3 of the vote to swing one way or the other. Nolan, give us your thoughts on Lego Island, which is actually how you pronounce it.
I like this game.
Hold on. Is it island because someone saw a small piece of land and was like, is land?
Maybe. Maybe.
Why have I never heard that before?
Is land.
Is land or
That's probably
is
it,
not?
Actually. I like this game. I like Lego games. That one that I grew up playing, the Knights Kingdom one, so fun. More of like build a castle, choose from like a long list of blocks and items and place them. So I wanted that out of this game, at least to a degree. It's not here. Yes, you quote unquote build a helicopter and you quote unquote build a car, but you're not exactly. So the creativity aspect that you have to have for Lego in general, physical blocks or video game, is absent, and that's a problem. But I still think that there's enough Lego injected into this game in terms of theme, humor especially, and just like the fact that this was their first attempt at let's bring our beloved brand to a popular platform, video games. I think they did an excellent job, and I think even today it's still fun, and you get what you pay for. In my case, I paid for broken JPEGs and some functionality problems, but once I got it running, I think you should play it for sure. NGP, yeah.
Okay. Kenny?
I'll jump in. No NGP from me. Mainly because of the technical aging issues, though. I think this is one of those games that's absolutely due for like a spiritual modern successor. The humor is super fun. If they did do a re-release, I would hope they'd kind of age it up a bit, because it was a little too sort of kid-friendly, a little too edutainment-y for my taste. But this idea of an interactive kind of play-along, open-world, sandboxy Lego experience is a really good one. Build your stuff, play with it, have your own adventure. Like, that works. And it 100% worked in 1997 for Lego Island. It was a boss game then, but not worth going back to. Not enough depth, too many issues.
Boss then, just an employee now. Hey, you know, like when you are asked if you think a certain person is attractive and you didn't think so you would say something like, well, she has a good personality. Yeah. You know, something like that. Yeah. That's this game. It's the experience today is not the most enjoyable, and it's somewhat short-lived, but there is so much personality here that is enjoyable to me. The jokes, the humor, the music, it feels like a game that's not taking itself too seriously, and that feels good from time to time, especially when games take themselves so seriously. And it reminds me of an era that we brought up of these early 90s edutainment games, from the little purple car that I'm struggling to remember the name right now, to Pajama Sam, to a few others that are Putt. Thank you, buddy. That are clickable. You're only clicking things, but this takes it to another level where it's open world, and it felt so good in 97. And I can tell you that because I played it in 97, 98, and it felt massive and good, but not today. It as a kid in the 90s, this game is it. As an adult in the 20s, is that how we say this?
Yes.
It's not. And so I do not give it my vote for New Game Plus status. I just think it has aged too much, and so have I. Yeah. So that means that Lego Land is not New Game Plus certified. But what did you think? We had 381 votes on YouTube.
People write it.
Oh, still a good joke. 33% said yes, it's worth playing today. 14% said no, go play something else. And 53% have never played it.
53%, okay.
Have never played it. And guys, for the first time in a long time, we've only had... I'm going to read all the commentary that came in this week.
Oh, so
it's
like
because
one person?
Nobody wanted to actually get this game spun up.
Probably.
And played. Those 33% are liars because they didn't take the effort to go do it.
Yeah, today they didn't. They're thinking fondness. Right. Listen, here's the thing. Before we played this week, I would have said yes, absolutely, because that's my memories from 97. And then after playing it this week, I'm like, nah. And so, listen, I'm going to read both of the commentaries that we got this week from our listeners. One was Garlisle, of course, because he's forced himself into a rock and a hard place. Last week, called
Ever
back.
loyal.
And now he has to always play the game no matter what it is. He said, this game really wants you to think it's some kind of open world adventure. But for that to be true, it'd have to have things to do. You can experience the entirety of this game in like 2 hours total and get a feeling for the entirety of the experience in about 5 minutes. Because it's just a lot of mediocre, haha, wacky Lego puns trying to cover up for an absolute minimum of actual gameplay content that barely functions to begin with. Once upon a time, being a kid and seeing explorable 3D would have been enough to amaze. Today, the game is just nothing. At least the music's occasionally decent, I guess.
Maybe y'all convinced me.
Slightly more pessimistic take on kind of what we were saying. Yeah, he summed it up well.
And then Clint said, I think Lego Island is the perfect example of a game that lots of kids played growing up, but aged very poorly. It's a shame that the game hasn't been updated for modern computers because of what a time capsule it is. My biggest surprise coming back to it this week was how high quality the audio recording is. Yeah. The scripting is amazing and conveys every bit of quirky Lego charm that the franchise holds to this day. I don't think I'd recommend going back to play it, but there are a few other mid to late 90s Lego titles that I think aged much less harshly, such as Rock Raiders or Alpha Team. Lego Island is ultimately a point-and-click adventure game that makes me want to pick up a Nancy Drew title instead.
Wow. Well, I mean, same, but Nancy Drew's sick.
Kenny, did you find a way to kill yourself in Lego Island to get a game over? That's what I meant.
Yeah. I mean, the first time I opened the game, before I even got into the actual gameplay, I got the client to crash.
Nice.
So, that counts.
Success.
The program died.
Yeah. That's I mean, very good commentary. There are a lot of really good Lego games today that can be played. The audio is definitely high quality, and the Lego charm is there.
Sure.
But it's so difficult to play. So
thank
you for the what?
Do we just go pick up our Legos instead, like our physical?
Yeah, go pick up your Legos instead. Don't step on them. Because it might feel like this gaming experience. For now, we're going to set aside Lego Island, and we're going to randomly select the next game that we're going to be playing for the next 7 days from our Retro Master list. User submitted. We've got well over 1,000 games in there. 15 years old or older. Any console, any genre. Randomizing now. We're going to be playing a game that I don't think either of you have played before, just from my guess.
Hey, speak for yourself.
You don't know me.
One, I know you.
Attacked him.
Secondly, well, other than, or firstly, well, outside of family, probably. And then I'm speaking for me and you two as well. As this game came out in 1989 in Japan, 1990 here in North America. It is a strategy role-playing game.
Kenny.
That was developed... And you're developed and published by Capcom.
Kenny? Capcom?
For the NES.
Oh, what?
What is all of this, guys?
Yeah,
I told you haven't played it.
I feel like there's a lot of potential here, though. Maybe if you said Super Nintendo and added like 3 years plus that genre, I would have been very hyped. I'm a little skeptical now.
The Japanese name of the game translates to The Devouring of Heaven and Earth, but it was released in North America as Destiny of an Emperor.
Don't know that by the name. Do you, Kenny? You look like you're.
Kenny?
You got to.
No,
I think I may have actually tricked Dustin into thinking I played this game. I have no idea.
That's not funny.
And you didn't trick me because I said that you didn't.
You bought it for a second. Don't listen. I saw your face.
Listen, what I am excited for, I'm excited to try it, but I'm more excited because it is Kenny's first play week, and Kenny playing a strategy role playing game on the NES. That takes me back to college. I just want to sit in a room and watch Kenny play an Dragon Warrior. That's what I used to do, and it was so much fun.
It's the perfect storm.
All right, so grab a copy of Destiny of an Emperor for the NES and play it along with us this week.
Let us know what you think about that game in our commentary channel in Discord. We need more than 2 for next episode. Go to ngppodcast.com and click Join Us in Discord, and there you can find all those channels.
I want to say a big thank you to all of you who support our show on Patreon on an ongoing basis. We'll reverse the order this week and start with our amazing directors who go way above and beyond and who we are continually indebted to for their support, Antonin, Brojim, and Garlisle. Thanks so much. I want to say welcome aboard to Samuel as well as Kayfabe5150.
Real name.
Thanks. Yeah, real name. That was their given name at birth. Thanks for hopping on the Patreon bandwagon.
Thank you.
And to our incredible and large list of producers.
That you're going to do backwards?
Oh.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
This is going to feel weird.
Order. I thought about actually reading the names backwards for a second, but
okay.
That's
you would have, but don't.
Zion, William, Ordonis, Unbedavable, Thomas, Shauna, Secret Duck of Evermore, Nawel, Mr. Lattes, Maxima, Lorelei, Corey, Justin, Jordan, Joey, Hi, I'm Josh, Francesca, DB Muppet, Dan the Man, Captain Protein, Carrie, Brunk, Bethany Fox, Ben, Austin, Anthony, and Amarlian. Thanks so much.
Why did that feel wrong?
Yeah, that felt terrible. Cops make
backwards.
Kenny do that when he gets pulled over and they think he's drunk.
All right. You can follow us on social media. That is Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. All of the links are in our show notes. Listen directly on any podcast provider of your choice. Make sure you subscribe so that you are the first to get new NGP episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a kind rating and review. This episode was edited and produced by our good friend Tom Tate. Reminder, we brought up last week, but if you listen this far in the episode, you know that we are looking for a new editor for our podcast here. In a short amount of time, Tom is going to be stepping down from editing our episodes, and so we're looking for a new sound designer producer. Some of you have reached out, and that's incredible. If you've got names or you yourself are interested, please email us at ngppodcast@gmail.com, and we'll have a conversation about it. Join us next week as we play Destiny of an Emperor. Until then, I'm still Pepperoni.
I'm building.
Nice. I'm Papa Briccolini.
Ooh, very nice. You don't do enough impressions on this podcast.
I'll step it up.
And this
just the right number
has been New Game Plus.